Life and Living is made up of real-life stories from very real people, whose identities and circumstances have been concealed. These testimonies were shared in order to inspire others to seek prompt solutions to their fertility issues.
Choose wellness. Choose health and vitality. Know your numbers.
This is a corporate social responsibility message from Pathcare, Nigeria's foremost pathology laboratory.
Life and Living series presents Limited Yet Special.
I love you, you love me. We are one big family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you.
La
Would
la
you
la
say
la
you
la
love
la.
me too?
I can't even remember the words of that song.
Honey, don't you even know any children's songs? You'd better start getting used to them.
Yeah, when the time comes.
I just can't wait to have children fill this room. Their sweet, small laughter, mischief, and all. I'm thinking that cot should be here, and the cabinets there. What color should we paint the room, Larry? Larry!
Oh, sorry. I was lost in thought.
A penny for your thoughts, my love. Let me guess. You were thinking about children!
You're right. Children.
Larry, honey, we've had a full year's honeymoon. How about we make babies right away?
Sylvia, there's something I need to tell you.
Can't it wait? I'm getting in the mood, you know.
It's a message from the doctor. He says we can't have babies. That was the story of our life. We had only been married for a year when our medical report said that we couldn't have children. We had dreams, hopes, and plans of how our lives should be together, but this news wasn't what we were expecting to hear. Thankfully, we had good advice.
Who is there?
It's me, Adams. Auntie Sylvia, good evening.
Adams, how are you? It's been a while, oh. After you married our sister, you just disappeared.
It's not like that, oh. Anyway, how is Uncle Larry?
He's in. He just returned from work.
Okay.
Darling! Adam is here!
Adams.
Uncle Larry.
Strong man. How have you been?
Very well, thank you, sir.
I was just telling him that since he got married, we have not seen his brake lights.
He's been busy.
Anyway, I just came to inform you that my wife put to bed last week.
Wow! Congratulations!
Thank you.
I am so excited, Adams. Boy or girl?
Twins, actually.
Wow! We thank God.
Thank God.
Thank you. I know that's good news, but that's not the real reason why I'm here.
I hope your wife and twins are fine.
Oh, they are.
Okay.
It's actually about you two. You see, the reason why it seemed as if my wife and I went under radar was because we couldn't conceive. We felt embarrassed by our situation and almost cut ourselves off everything. But then a friend came and told us about this reputable fertility clinic. We went early and God was good to us.
Thanks, Adams.
Thank you, Adams.
See, I've been waiting for the perfect time to raise this issue with you for so long, but didn't know how to go about it.
Are you saying that it's possible to have a child despite any limitations?
Well, I'm not the expert, but I'd recommend them strongly.
Hello. Is anyone in this house?
Come in.
This house is such a mess. When last did anyone clean this place? Oh, Sylvia, there you are. Why are you crying?
Linda, life is not fair.
I have called, sent you text messages. I even came by the house last week, but no response.
Linda, the doctor says I'm not producing enough eggs. How will I ever get pregnant if I can't produce enough eggs?
Calm down,
Linda.
Sylvia. Calm down.
We've prayed, fasted, and been everywhere. Now my husband wants us to go to a fertility clinic.
Have you ever thought that might be an answer to your prayers?
Having a child, Linda, normally it's an answer to prayer.
Sylvia, God answers prayers in so many ways that your getting medical help does not in any way reduce God's power. It only makes the story sweeter. I think your husband is doing the right thing, Sylvia. Go with him to the fertility clinic. They have got good professionals there.
Thank you, doctor. It's taken a lot of convincing to get my wife to this stage.
Well, we expect the very best to come out of this.
Doctor, please go over the procedures again.
Okay, Sylvia. I'm glad to see that you're getting relaxed. First, we are going to give you these injections.
Doctor, I don't like injections.
No. These are for your own good. These injections are designed to help you produce several eggs for fertilization.
So, how did the procedure go?
Your wife produced only one egg.
Goodness!
God. After all those injections, only one egg, doctor?
Yes.
Oh, God.
And that poses a bit of a challenge because your wife needs to produce more than 6 eggs for a good chance of fertilization.
But I produced only one egg.
Just one.
So, doctor, what are the implications?
Well, you can either cancel this cycle and we start all over again.
Or
you can take a chance with this one egg.
I'm not sure we want to have come this far to put all our eggs in one basket.
it's just one egg, honey. And it's in God's basket, so it must be good. Let's go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yes.
If my wife is for it, then I'm game.
Okay. Larry and Sylvia, I must say that your faith is really inspiring. Most couples would have opted to start the cycle all over again. But you went ahead with that one egg.
Doctor, spare us the preambles. What is the result?
I must say that putting all your hopes in that one egg paid off.
Thank God.
I am pleased to announce that the egg fertilized will have a good embryo for transfer.
So, Doctor, you mean I am soon going to be a mother?
By God's grace.
God will do it for us. I know He will.
Amen.
Honey.
Yes. He will.
I think the cot should be here. The bassinet there. Oh, what do you think, Linda?
My friend, it's so good to see you in such high spirits. And your baby bump is so cute.
Yeah, I know. I get so tired these days, you know.
It comes with the territory.
I am so glad I took your advice, Linda. I am 28 weeks gone, and no one will ever know how the baby got there.
Every child is a special child, my dear.
Yes, so... And my husband and I have a very special name already.
Oh, I prefer you keep that a secret.
Of course. I'd better hurry up with the last minute's preparations. I've got a naming ceremony to plan, a baby shower. I even need to open a bank account.
Yeah, right.
Life and living, life and
It's great to have you tuning in once again to Life and Living, brought to you by Doctors on Air. I'm Dr. Pamela, and I have with me Dr. Ajayi of the Bridge Clinic, who is the authority on fertility issues in Nigeria, and I'm sure we'll learn a lot from him today. Welcome, Dr. Ajayi.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Dr. Pamela.
It seems paradoxical that Sylvia, although she had had a successful pregnancy with IVF, didn't seem to want to let anybody know about the fact, even though she was helped by their good friend Adams, who told her how they had actually solved their problem.
Yes, it's not unusual. There is a stigma associated with infertility, and when couples come for IVF, they believe the stigma still exists because they've not had their pregnancy the way everybody else would. So they tend to hide the fact that they've had IVF treatment. It is a problem. I mean, at the Bridge Clinic, after 14 years of providing IVF treatment in Nigeria, we have birth of almost 1,500 babies. We know that a lot of them have not told their friends how they achieved their pregnancy. We occasionally get invited to baby dedications, but we're always in the background. So it's not something people want to push to the foreground, that this is how I achieved the pregnancy.
But isn't it something that people should, really? Because, I mean, this is what this series is about, actually, people who have shared their testimonies, because they want people to know about these issues. They want people to be helped by these problems. So it would actually help a lot if people came out and said, yes, I had treatment. Will you go too?
Well, yes. I mean, you're blessed to be a blessing. And I think it's important that people share the blessings that they've received. But, we can only advise them. And I hope with programs like this series that you've put on would educate that it's a medical condition like any other condition, and as such is not something that they need to hide.
Now, when there's infertility, I mean, it seems common that they go from pillar to post. She said she had prayed, she had fasted, she had been everywhere, quote unquote, and at the end of the day still seemed reluctant to go for help, for treatment at a fertility clinic. I mean, is that normal?
I think it's a function of perception. Everybody wants to get pregnant naturally. Nobody really wants to do IVF. Everybody wants to get pregnant in the privacy of their bedroom. And so even though it's not occurring, there's still wait because there's always hope. But what I advise couples is that it's important to get a diagnosis. If you're believing God for the fruit of the womb rather than waiting endlessly, go to a clinic early, get a diagnosis. Now, the diagnosis will define what you do. If you've got blocked tubes on both sides, then you don't have a choice. You need IVF immediately. If you've got a very low sperm count and the woman is over 35, or you've been trying to achieve a pregnancy for more than 3 years, then you need IVF immediately. If it's a borderline sperm count, or perhaps the woman has ovulatory problems, then of course you can use other methods. But you need to get a diagnosis to know what exactly you need to do, because IVF is not a last resort treatment. The earlier you go for treatment, the better. As we saw in the case that we listened to, by the time she went for treatment, she had run out of eggs. Women are on a biological clock. The average woman is born with a fixed number of eggs that she uses up with time. And by the time she's 35, she's depleted both in the quality and the quantity of eggs to run out of eggs by the age of 51. So it's important that couples go for treatment early.
In this particular case, Sylvia was told that she would normally need 6 eggs, but she still went ahead with just 1. Is that normal? Would that be recommended?
Well, at the end of the day, the objective of IVF treatment is to achieve the birth of 1 baby. And all you need is 1 egg and 1 sperm to achieve this. But the problem with IVF, of course, is that there's a very high attrition rate as you go down the process. So, for example, we give injections to stimulate the ovaries. So if you have maybe 14 follicles, and follicles are the sacs that contain the eggs, we expect to get eggs from about 80% of them. If you now go to egg collection and we collect the eggs, not all the eggs are going to be mature. So even if we collect 10 eggs from you, then we may end up with about 7 mature eggs. And after we fertilize the eggs, if we inject all 7 eggs, we may end up with 4 fertilized. And after fertilization, we now culture them to blastocyst stage, where we keep them in the incubator for up to 5 days. You may end up with only 2 embryos for transfer. So because of this attrition, we always like to start with high numbers. But at the end of the day, all you need is 1. And I think what she expressed was faith. because yes, you only have one, and in most cases, if you go just with one egg, it may not even fertilize. But in her case, God blessed her, it was fertilized, and she got pregnant just with the one egg.
You need to correct me on this, but from our understanding of what Sylvia said, it appeared that she needed 6 eggs to be put back in her.
No, that's a misunderstanding. I mean, we published a paper in an international journal about a few years ago from the Bridge Clinic, where we showed that to achieve optimal pregnancy rates, you need a minimum of 6 eggs. So I think that's where that reference was coming from. But we also know the reason why you need this is because there's an attrition, as I explained earlier. Really and truly, internationally, the standard is to put back a maximum of 2 embryos. This is because if you put back more than 2 embryos, you run a risk of higher order multiple pregnancies and all the complications that brings. The chance of the woman dying during a pregnancy is significantly increased. The chance of the babies being born early in such a state that they may die before they're viable is also significantly increased, or they could actually run a risk of cerebral palsy. So it's considered irresponsible practice to transfer more than 2 embryos.
That's actually very interesting, because from a lot of what we hear, most people think the more the merrier.
Well, I mean, the more the merrier at the end point, but that's just the ones that make it. So it's not ethical or responsible practice to transfer more than 2 embryos.
What is the cause of low eggs in an IVF cycle?
Well, the most common cause is age. A woman is born with a fixed pool of eggs, and she gradually, by the time she reaches puberty, this is dropped to about 800,000. And every month, to get 1 egg out, she uses up to 300 of her best eggs. And this process continues until the age of 51, when she runs out of eggs. Now, if by the age of 35, she's significantly depleted in both the quantity and the quality of eggs. And as you know, we're not all the same. If the average woman is born with 1.5 million, there's some women that are born with 3 million eggs. These are the women that are still having their periods into their late 50s. At the same time, there are some women that are born with no eggs at all. It's a condition called Turner syndrome. And in between this lies everybody else. So this lady, of course, is probably started with a lower number of eggs, which is why at the time she comes for IVF, she only has 1 egg, which, like I said earlier, significantly reduces her chances of achieving a pregnancy.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
If you'd like to get in touch with the doctor, you can send an email to doctor, which is DOCTOR, @thebridgeclinic.com, or text fertility to 20050. You can like our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/DOA Life and Living, or follow us on Twitter at www.twitter.com/DOA Life and Living. Till I come your way again next week, remember that ultimately life comes from God, but it is your responsibility to make sure you have knowledge.
Choose wellness. Choose health and vitality. Know your numbers.
This is a corporate social responsibility message from Pathcare, Nigeria's foremost pathology laboratory.
Life and Living series is produced by Verdant Zeal for Doctors on Air.